And we are live. I don't know who's joined us already. So hello everyone who's, I think people are joining in. I don't know who's joined us. Whoever joins us, can you just pop us a message in the chat to just say hello so that we know who is here? Because I can see just one you for now. Okay. And be live. Well, I think I will. I think we can proceed, or maybe we should give it 2 more minutes. It's 6 o'clock.
Let's give it 2 more minutes. Maybe
Okay.
people are still trying to dial in or get into the room.
Yes, I agree. So whoever's just joined us, we're just saying, please just pop us a message. Oh, hi. it's my friend, Dr. Spogazi Data. Hi, Joy. Whoever's just joined us, please just pop us a message in the chat so that we know we are not alone.
Yes.
I see more and more people are joining in.
Okay.
We'll just give it 1 more minute and then we will proceed with our conversation because I think we do want to do justice to it. And it is a Friday. We don't want to take up too much time. Are you guys not going to dance us in? You were Friday. Well, cool. I think we can proceed. I think we can proceed. So cool. Well, good evening, everyone who's just joining us from every part of this continent, outside of the continent. Welcome to what we have termed the Full Color Leader Series. So, my name is Bongeka Mhlongo. I wear many hats. And this one hat is representative of the many hats that I wear. But I think before we get into who I am and the conversation tonight, I just want to say that if you just have any questions, because we are only going to take questions right at the end, please feel free to write the questions in the chat. And then Unosi, who's in the background somewhere, who's part of my team, will note those questions and send it through to me and Uzim, and then we'll be able to address those questions at the end. And also, courtesy of Zim, we do have a competition tonight. Zim has graciously, bought a copy for us, whoever joins the conversation. And so, how you get to win the book is the person who engages us the most, as in who comments, who shares a nugget as we are going through the conversation, who asks the questions, whatever it is. But the person who engages us the most is the person who's going to walk away with a copy of Thinking in Full Color. And at the end of the conversation, I will share details in terms of those who are going to get the book and in terms of how you can actually purchase the book. So again, just to repeat, if you want to be the winner, courtesy of Zim, of a copy of Thinking in Full Color, please just engage us the most, whether it's questions or comments, whatever. And then Unosi has the difficult task of selecting that person. And then at the end, we'll also just announce in terms of how we will courier that to that. Hello, Blossom. Hello. I see a couple of people are joining us right now. Cool, man. As I said, I think we can comment. I'm really quite excited to be able to. This is our conversation, but just to be able to be, I guess, the facilitator of such an important topic that is so close to many of our hearts, especially as business leaders who are reimagining work and reimagining workspaces, right? So my name is Bongeka Mhlongo for those who are joining now. And as I mentioned earlier, I wear many hats. But I think the three hats that I wanted to bring forth today are the following. So I'm a conversation manager at Uptime Consulting. And I mentioned that because it is incredible to be part of an organization that is in many ways at the forefront of, revolutionizing our workspaces, and impacting a generation of business leaders to think differently about work and how we do work. I'm also the founder of Pin the Vision, which is a content creation organization that creates content that centers around, encouraging people to live a life of purpose, which is something that I'm deeply, deeply passionate about. But I think what brings all of you tonight and the crux of our conversation is I'm also the author of this incredible book titled Thinking in Full Color. So really so what we've launched as part of my team is what we've termed the Full Color Leader series conversation. And the Full Color Leader series conversation is inspired by my book. And really for the next coming month, we will be having full color conversations with various leaders who I think are full color thinkers and trailblazers of our generation. And tonight's conversation, we have an incredible woman. I am so honored that when I reach out to her to say, Zim, there is no other person who can usher us into this but you, she agreed. So tonight's conversation will be really talking about around the topic, giving our workspaces a more human face. Gentleness is a strength, which is an essay that we explore in the book. So ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're joining us, allow me to officially welcome Zimkhita Buwa, who I think is one of the great business leaders of our time. She is the CEO and board member at Quintica, South Africa, an organization that is just doing incredible technology and digital innovation space. But you know what? She can fully explain herself. So Zim, welcome tonight.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bongeka. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm spinning because there are also so many hats that I wear. Apart from being the CEO and board member of Quintica SA, by the way, that only happened from the 1st of September. So I'm literally, I think, about 75 days into the role. So it's different, and you can imagine, getting in, trying to understand what we do, trying to also change what we do, meeting with our people, meeting with our clients, our partners, trying to engage the industry as well, and then also having that forward-looking view of what should we be doing next year, what budget or should we be chasing for a financial year 2022, and then at the same time closing out Q4. So there's a lot happening. And then over and above that, I'm also a board member at Silicon Cape. Some of you might know that it's a nonprofit that really aims to create a vibrant tech ecosystem and supporting startups in the Western Cape. So there's a lot happening there. And I'm also a board member of a digital marketing agency called Roger Wilco. And so there's various hats that I wear, but what's really close to my heart is this topic that we're talking about today. And I've been bouncing up and down the whole week, just waiting for this conversation because, and as I was saying to you, in my circle, I mean, we focus a lot on technology and how we humanize the use of technology and how it adds value. But this conversation is about how we humanize our workspace, which is absolutely so critical, and especially in our business, because our business is largely made up of people. Yes, we sell technology solutions, but who delivers that? It's people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so important for us to create conducive environments that allow people to thrive, that allow people to really be themselves. So I'm really fortunate, to be here today, just unpacking this very, very difficult topic, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh man. So I always I'm always curious, right, around how people get into their careers. Because how I got to my career, in fact, how I got to study my degree is a fascinating story for another day. So
So,
I think for me, how I'm always curious about how people, I guess, yeah, get into their careers, because it tells me a lot around your thinking process and the choices that you make. So I'm
mm.
curious. I mean, technology, innovation, digital, because also you've been quite a trailblazer in this industry. But where did it all begin? Like for you, did you see somebody in your community? Did somebody come to your school or your university? Or I don't know, or did you read up about it? But how did you get to be in the technology and the in innovation space?
So, I mean, I think I was fortunate. It wasn't
Mm.
someone who came and spoke about technology at school. I matriculated in 1997, and I think during those days, they, as much as they
Crazy.
were, I'm giving away my age here, but there was no real career guidance. You almost just did what your parents told you to do, and you assumed that that was the right decision for you.
Mm,
But I ended up having a brother that decided to study information technology at
mm,
PE Technican. It's no longer called PE Technican. But when he used to come home and talk about, the programs that he was developing, the
mm,
curriculum, the content, the exciting articles around technology that he used to share with me, I thought to myself, if my brother can do it, what's stopping me from considering a career in technology? But at the
mm,
same time, I didn't want to be too technical. So
mm,
through these articles that he was sharing with me, I actually realized that there's an opportunity to combine business and technology. So then I started investigating information systems. And the business element actually came from my dad, uDumsane,
mm.
uGasugika, Mayoba. And and he had a business in a very small township called Izwelicha. And every holiday, without fail, we had to work, at the shop. And I used to love this concept of counting money. I even had a little technique um, of how to count the money, and we used to get paid for
Yeah,
working there. And
yeah,
so when I had to choose, I wanted to choose,
yeah.
this aspect of being able to make money, of being able to negotiate, because sometimes I would watch him negotiate with suppliers. And then also this concept of developing something out of technology and
Mm,
really, really combining those two. So
mm,
fortunate enough to also be offered a scholarship. I mean, I
mm.
remember at the interview with the Department of Minerals and Energy, they were asking me if I knew where Malaysia was. I had no clue where Malaysia was. But our sponsor, Petronas, their head office was in Malaysia, and they had invested in a university which focused on science, technology, engineering, and maths. And essentially, through that conversation and through that interview, I had to leave home for 4 years. My fees were paid for. I was exposed to the best,
Mm.
in the Malaysian university ecosystem.
Wow,
I didn't even know how much the fees were, how much the accommodation was.
wow.
And I talk about that because
Yeah,
before I got the scholarship, it just looked so bleak that I wasn't actually going to be able to study. But through perseverance,
yeah,
through putting yourself out there and being able to exploit
mm,
opportunities. I mean, as difficult as it was leaving home, I said to myself,
mm,
this is something that I will never be able to get in South
yeah,
Africa. And so if someone is willing to pay for my fees, I've got to go. So I think
yeah.
that that opportunity and being able to see the art of the possible in terms of information systems. Really, really the reason why I ended up choosing this career, and obviously the influence from my brother and being able to tangibly
Yes.
see someone who's chosen that field.
Yeah. So, you know, as you say that, this thought comes to me, and it's something I deeply believe in, that you dream more when you've been exposed to more. So sometimes we often think that what makes us successful is our IQ, you know. But I've always believed that what makes people successful in many ways is the access to opportunities, and exposure. Because the more you see, right, the more you're able to know, oh, okay, there's more to this. So I want to though get into, in many ways, the crux of the conversation in terms of, you know, this topic that we've embarked on. So the first time I heard of Zimkhita Buwa, it's in my book, page 89. And I
Nice.
don't know.
I've got it.
And I don't know if Ulishe Pikicha is here, because shout out to Ulishe. Yes. Zim is holding that out. Shout out to Ulishe. And I think why this is so powerful, and I need to share this. So when I was thinking about, like, you know, how right now I'm sitting with you, right? I thought of there's something that I heard somebody say many years ago, and oh my God, it has revolutionized the way I think about action and I think about the things I do in the world. So I heard somebody once say that action is never wasted, right? Because the language of the universe is movement. And I always wonder, because I didn't know Lishe. I didn't know you. You know how on LinkedIn, when you have a common connection, if somebody comments, right, and you're able to see that. So here was Ulish, and I'll read I want to read it for those who don't have the copy of the book yet. It's just the appreciation post, but you have to get the book. Everybody those who don't have the book, you have to get my dissection of that appreciation post. But I always marvel that here was Lishe obeying a thought that came to her that said, appreciate Uzim. And that thought, that day, the precision of the time, I was on LinkedIn at the time, and I remember just pausing and, like, when she wrote that, I took a screenshot. This was 3-4 years ago, guys. Never knowing where this is, I did not know it was going to lead to this. This is the profoundness of obeying an action that comes to you. So I want to read this because I think this is what sets the tone for me, and the reason why I wanted you to pioneer the Full Color Leader series, because I think it is the foundation from this appreciation post. So it's a screenshot from LinkedIn, and then it's by Ulihle Pikicha. And it says, my dream of being a young Black successful woman has kept me awake. My biggest inspiration at the moment is Zimkhita Buwa. This woman has proven multiple times that it is not about where you come from, but where you are headed, more especially what you do with your life. I have felt her positivity grow in me. She is gentle, powerful, loving, authentic, graceful. The list is endless. This is an appreciation post to her. May she continue to inspire other young women and touch more lives. And oh my God, that prophetic word by Uli has happened.
I want to stop you there because, you know, people ask me, what is my purpose statement? You know, what is my true north? And I always say, for me, it's always been simple. It's always been clear that rise by lifting others. Rise by lifting others. Because throughout my career, I've always had this thing that, you know, I don't want to be the only one. This concept of being the only woman in the boardroom is not something to be celebrated, but something that needs to be changed. So I've lived by that statement by supporting other young people that are coming into the industry, because at the time when I started, there were no women that I could that I could find who were out there, being accessible and being willing to help and willing to guide. So I said, well, what can I do differently to change
Mm.
that scenario for someone else, for all the grads that are coming in? And I think I want to go as far as to say, when I saw that post, it just made me feel like, if I'm no longer on this earth, how would I like people to describe
Yeah,
me? I would want people to say, Yo, Uzim added
yeah,
value to my life in this way.
yeah,
And when I saw that post, I was like, yo, okay, maybe I'm on my way to
yeah,
achieving my purpose.
yeah, yeah. And look
Not
at that. Yeah. And Zim, look at that commitment for you to live your a life of truth, right? And be authentic to yourself. It inspired Ulihle, which in turn inspired me. I did not know both of you guys at the
yes.
time. But here I was on LinkedIn.
I was trying to make the connection when you reached out to me about how, do you know Lise? Because
I did
obviously
not know. Yeah.
wow, how powerful is that?
How powerful, the power of action. And I think this is why, for me, then the question I want to ask you, because I do think, because that happened, what, 3, 4 years ago. And I think
Yes.
the reason why it touched me was, I mean, I've always believed, and I've struggled in the working world, especially when I started out in my career, because I've always believed in being human. But I think there's a tendency in our work environments and many at times to force us to a state of sameness, and a sameness that's problematic, a sameness where if you're kind, it's like stop saying that. Like, I remember I even said in the book, I remember somebody who gave me an advice to say that I'm too friendly and I
Yes.
won't make it when I started out in my career. But I want to know from you, Zim, as a business leader, and I think this is why I wanted to have the conversation with you. Um,
Yes.
as a business leader, how do you feel about the fact that we are on the cusp of a revolution, right? This
Yes.
is one conversation that's merely plug into a lot of other conversations and work that is being done to give our workspaces a more human face. But as
Yeah.
a CEO, sitting with other CEOs, um, how do you? Yeah, I guess what is your heart, and what do you feel about this revolution that's happening? And
Yes.
then I want you to follow that up with, you spoke about you've always been intentional to say to lift others up as you rise. But I
Mm.
know for sure that it has not always been easy, being human and being kind. And I want you to just share with us some of the challenges that you have encountered in this quest to be yourself
Mm.
in a workspace environment.
Yeah. So, I mean, just touching on your first question around this revolution and this movement that's obviously being initiated around how we humanize our workspaces. It's such a critical movement. It's such a movement that is long overdue. Bongeka, our
Mm.
workspaces can be toxic. I mean, you chat to a young person out there, most of them are lost. They're not sure how they fit in. And then you couple that with leaders that lead by fear, leaders
Mm.
that think or see people as resources, as numbers. And to be honest, a lot of our workspaces are broken, but we just haven't spoken about it. We just haven't shed the light on it. And that's why I'm so grateful for this conversation. We never used to talk about it in the past. And I think a lot of times we used to say, if someone is stressed at work, oh, toughen up, things will get better.
Yeah.
Or we'll turn the situation around as if it's the person that actually has the problem. So I believe that we've created a platform to talk about it. I also think this
Mm.
movement is not a superficial movement. It's a movement
Mm.
that's
Mm.
really about unearthing how we create environments that allow people to thrive, an
Mm.
environment that recognizes people's diversities, because that's the other problem, right? If we're
Mm.
not all the same, if we don't all play golf, if we don't all cycle, if we don't all play rugby or understand the game of rugby, there's no commonality. So this movement is about saying it's okay if you're different, because
Mm.
we celebrate you and we recognize your difference. And that difference is your strength. And that difference is something that you need to bring to work every day.
Mm.
So how do we create this conducive environment where people can bring their authentic selves and know that they will be accepted and know that they can grow in the workspace. So it's really something that I feel has been needed, and especially now with COVID and people working remotely, and people have mental wellness issues, but they're not comfortable enough because of those toxic workspaces. They're not comfortable enough to actually speak about it. So my view is that we have to bring the kindness, we have to bring the empathy, we have to bring the understanding. And sometimes I say to people, like, you're a parent. The very same behaviors that make you a good parent, the nurturing, the supportiveness, the understanding, but also the sternness. But the way that you stern kids is very different from how people are at work. But why can't we bring those elements into our workspaces, into how we lead, into how we show up? So and the challenge, I guess, is that we are working with a culture that's been embedded for centuries. The culture of and also the expectation of being aggressive, chasing the number, landing that deal. But why can't you land the deal in your own way, in your own authentic way? So those are just some of the things that I have had to realize and also be intentional about, and also educate people. If people, when I was in a sales role and people were saying, no, but you need to play golf, you need to do this. And I said, no, I'm going to land deals because of the kind of relationship and the connection that I've formed with my clients. And some of those clients are clients that are working with me today for years because of the connection and the authentic relationships that I've formed with them. So, I mean, I know I'm saying it now as if it's easy, but going against the grain and choosing a route that goes against everything that people say is not easy. But that's why we need to create tribes. We need to tap into these platforms, because that's where your support and your power comes from. So I always talk about, cheerleaders that I can reach out to and say, look, today was such a struggle because of A, B, and C. You can only overcome those challenges if you have an entire tribe supporting you.
Okay. And like in terms of maybe
Long-winded answer, but I just feel like I want to get all of it out, but it's so critical. Yeah.
No, I get you. And I think for me, I did want to raise this point around it's in terms of just maybe some of the challenges that, I mean, obviously you've kind of touched on them here and there, but like, what is your how do I call it? How do you renew your conviction? And I ask that because I know that when you set out to be authentic in a workspace environment, right, and be yourself, it's not always, especially with before this revolution is happening. It's not always an accept. Even right now, there's many workspaces that won't fully accept you being yourself. So there are many instances where I know for myself, I've tended to sometimes compromise to fit in. And I've always been curious, but I mean, I have my own spiritual practice where I have to kind of renew myself and continue with my conviction to be myself. But I want to know from you, do you have a space where you can go to? Because I think being a human does not mean that we walk in victory every day, right? Like you don't always live your truth. There are moments where you compromise, but how do you regenerate yourself after you've had those moments of compromise?
But I mean, for me, it's always been the people that I surround myself with. I spoke to you the other day about, the likes of Utemba, of Ubani, Lo President. We all worked for the same company initially, and we formed a circle. But that circle has extended beyond that one company that we worked for. So if I'm not sure about something, or if I'm doubting myself, or if I'm just wavering and I'm not being myself, I can pick up the phone and call one of them.
Mm.
But also for me, it's about seeing the results, because people remind me. So, Ulihle was a great reminder, because I could have been having an
Yes.
awful day, but
Yeah.
reading that would just make me realize that I'm actually on the right path. Or someone calling me and saying, Zim, what you did for me here yielded these results in my life. So, so that ability to also see the tangible,
Mm.
it's not always there, but some
Mm.
little signs that show you that, what, you are on the right track.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard. You're gonna cry about it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
difficult. You're gonna get people questioning you, but
Yeah.
you are on the right track.
Correct. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. And I was just thinking about this, that conversations like tonight and many other conversations, because this is a small piece of a bigger revolution that's happening. But I think because both of us deeply care about our workspaces and our contribution to our generation,
Yeah.
and we align on that bigger purpose, we felt that we also have something to contribute, right? I do think full color conversations and many other purposeful conversations have regenerative power. And what I mean by that is they're able to dismantle particular belief or belief systems that we've held about work. It is a belief system that you must be hard at work to get results. It is a belief system that if you smile and you're friendly, you are masking incompetence, right? And for me, I get excited that we are part of a generation of full color thinkers who are saying, but you can be kind and excellent,
Exactly.
and it is through these conversations that I fundamentally believe that, in many ways, we are able to heal, because a lot of pain has happened
Oh,
in our work environments. A lot of pain. A lot of us have been hurt, but we are finding, as you said, a tribe of people who are like-minded and who are saying we will play our part in healing our generation. So
yeah.
yeah,
And it's so, I mean, I can't stress the importance of having that tribe. And that tribe could
yes,
be people that you work with. That tribe could be from attending, today's session. Maybe you reach out to me, you reach out to Bongeka.
mm,
It's so important, because without that, you are going to be lost. And especially where you don't have that ability to
mm,
communicate and actually share transparently what you are going through. So
yeah,
many of us suffered in silence and were in pain silently for a long time. But that
mm,
doesn't have to be the case.
yeah, yeah. So I read a very interesting article recently on Forbes, and
Mm,
it said that the new definition of a CEO is Chief Empathy Officer. And
mm,
really, it was cool, right? And what the author of the article was arguing was that gone are the
mm,
days where being empathetic was seen as a soft skill, as a
mm,
nice to have. And what they're saying right now to CEOs and business leaders is that being empathetic is actually a strategic imperative. And they
mm,
justify that there's a couple of research that's being done, and they justify that by saying that they are finding that empathetic leaders or managers, there seems
mm.
to be a high correlation between empathetic leaders and managers and employee innovation,
Oh,
and work engagement. So they I guess bringing to the fore to executives, hoping that when they make decisions around how we do work, it's
mm,
informed by research. It's not just it's not just a hippie thing. So what do you think of that? I think I want to ask this question in the context of the digital work environment that we find ourselves in, right? So it's easy to talk about, oh, let's give our workspaces a more human face, but we are geographically apart.
mm,
So how
mm.
do we bring empathy working in this hybrid work? Because I think it's different when we're all in the same geographic space. To a
Absolutely.
certain extent, there's certain policies and projects that you can implement. But now, Zim, I'm in Joburg, you're in Cape Town, somebody else is in Durban. How do we foster humane work environments in our in the digital context that we find ourselves in?
I mean, that's such a tough question. But the way I look at it is that, it's really, really hard being able to do that, because we're all on calls probably from 7 until 7 at night. It's back to back meetings. And it's not like in the past, where you could walk the floors and chat to people and have social interaction, where you could pick up if there was something wrong with them. I think you have to be intentional about doing check-ins with people, and
Ah,
that culture of checking in needs
mm,
to translate from you as the executive, as the manager, to
mm,
the rest of the team. So it's not like it's something that you can own on your own. It's
mm,
got to be something that's executed and actioned throughout the organization. So, insisting on people checking in, people having peers. So
mm,
maybe peers that can be allocated and actually checking in, especially people that live alone, because old way of working, being on calls, and then you're on your own, you don't have anybody to talk to. So it's important for you to have that check-in, and it can't be
yeah,
you as the manager only owning
yeah,
it. You've got to cascade that culture and that vibe of, how's everybody doing? Are you okay? And
yeah,
then also, I mean, now with with the economy opening up, what I'm trying to promote is for people to, at least, even if it's half a morning or
yeah,
once a day, come back into the office, because there's nothing more exhilarating than being in the office, brainstorming, you seeing people, you interacting with them. That's enough to carry you through to the next week. But I think we need to try and promote, even if it's just a virtual catch up where people are having,
mm,
and you're not talking shop, you're not talking work, but you're
mm,
just talking about how life is. We have to now think of that social aspect and social interaction of work in a
mm,
different way. But you have
yeah,
to be intentional about it, otherwise, it's not going to happen.
yeah, yeah.
And really
So,
sorry, the other point that I wanted to make was
yeah,
that, you know, organizations are made up of people. If our people
yeah,
are not okay, it
mm,
translates to their performance, it translates to how, they work quality. So this whole concept of ensuring that people are okay,
mm,
executing on the taglines that we show on our slide decks about how you care about people. I mean,
yeah,
that is such an imperative. It's imperative for your organization. It's imperative for your people as well.
yeah, yeah. And Zim, I'm curious.
Mm,
um, I'm curious in terms of whose responsibility do we leave this to? And I'm asking because
mm,
I know that when we sit in board meetings or the exco meetings, right, we have our silo functions that we sit. You'll have sales there, you'll have procurement, you'll have IT or IS, you'll have finance, you'll have HR. So in terms of whose responsibility is it to um, foster that we really do create humane work environments, because I think many a times a lot of leaders are starting to say this, but we know that people respect what you inspect until it is
mm,
part of our policy, until it's part of our KPIs in some way.
mm.
How do we really, really, really live this out? Because I think what I'm trying to drive at is, let it not just be, oh, something that Zim said, but no one takes accountability to make sure that it gets done. So, in your opinion, whose responsibility is it to give our workspaces a more human face?
I think it has to be everyone's responsibility, Bongeka,
Mm,
because I mean, at the end of the day, even if you have KPIs, you can't guarantee that it's going to happen.
mm,
It's a culture that you have to create, and it starts with the management team, the leadership team buying into it, the leadership team executing on it. And when people see the leadership team is doing this, they will also do it. and you'll start seeing results. It can't be owned by one person, can't be owned by HR, it can't be owned by just management. It has to be a cultural shift in the organization. And how do you change culture? You don't change culture through reporting and through eyes. You change culture through action, you know, through communicating, through people talking about things, through sharing the success stories with people in terms of, why this is good for business, and sharing who's done what, and having those people talk about their successes, and not just one person talking about it. So, I mean, my view personally is that you can't have a stick and expect people to just change their mindset based on that. It's got to be something that we live and do and breathe every day, and it starts with action.
So in thinking about like the action, which I agree, because I think in many ways for me, we can have great conversations and vocabularies floating big English, but at the end of the day, I believe in us, we have to be, pragmatic in many ways. And I think I bring that insight in my work as a, having worked as a change management consultant and as communication consultants many a times. I think some of the insights from leaders has always been, we always say to them, do this, do that. But
Yes.
we don't give them the tools, which reminds me of, everyone who knows me knows that I'm absolutely such a huge fan of Trevor Noah. I think he's one of our, one of my favorite full color thinkers. But there's something that Trevor always says, which I like. He expands on a parable that we all know, right? He says that there's a parable that says, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. And then Trevor always says, but it will be nice if you give him where's the fishing rod? So you've given the person the skill, but where's the rod for them to start fishing? And I want to know from you, I guess, I'm curious as a consultant, we always say leaders must do this. I'm curious, as a CEO, having listened to your other peers, what are some of the tools that you think can capacitate? Because obviously you are converted, it's different. You are converted, but think about the guys who are not converted, who have operated on a belief system that all that matters is profit. You have to be hard at work. Stop this nonsense of kind. How do we convert those guys to see that this is not just a nice to have, but it is a competitive advantage? And if we don't change, as anything that doesn't change, we run the risk of being obsolete. So how do we convert those guys, and what tools, like one or two, three tools, can we just give up our different leaders, not just business leaders, but leaders in the various workspaces?
So, I mean, you spoke about that research that was showing the correlation between business performance, between driving a high performance culture, and that compared it to empathy, or the impact of having empathy. So being able to shine the light on those reports, especially, I mean, a lot of CEOs hold, the Gartners of the world, the analysts, whether it's a PwC report or a Deloitte report. If we can have more research being done around that, and also the results of that research being, made available, creating campaigns, creating awareness around, just like we do with other elements of business.
I like
If
that.
even if we were to have a conference where people are presenting that research, but we also have CEOs that have bought into that way of doing things, and so basically, not only have conferences around HR, let's have CEOs actually talking about the importance of their people, and their people bringing empathy into work. And I think that's how we change the game. The more voices that we have that are bringing this to bear, and actually talking about it, creating a platform, and creating a powerful platform.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ways that we convert, the many centuries of people that are thinking in a particular way.
Yeah.
Then the second part to your question around some of the tools, last year I actually attended a leadership development course that was nothing like anything that I had ever attended before. So in a lot of the leadership development courses that I had attended before, it was about strategy, finance,
Yes.
innovation,
Yes.
technology. But this one, the content was solely around you building you as a leader, as a empathetic. I mean, the exercises that we had were meditation,
Mm.
were how to do breathing exercises so that you can calm yourself in a stressful environment. We had role playing exercises to handle difficult conversations, difficult conversations about retrenchments, about
Mm.
performance, but it's the how you handle the conversation. So
Yeah.
this is just another example in terms of how we shift things around. Is the curriculum for our leadership development, management development courses
Mm.
looked at, because the skills that
Mm.
we've seen from the traditional way of doing things are not relevant. I'm sorry if there's anybody that's running a leadership development course here, but
But we are
but
disrupting. Yeah.
but we've got to change the content and change the narrative around that. And
Yeah.
then a couple of weeks ago, I actually found a LinkedIn group that was set up. I think the name of it is Humanizing Workplaces, and there's over 3,000 people in
Mm.
the group, and they all from all over the world. I mean, imagine that this is a topic that we're talking about in South Africa, but there's someone in the UK, someone in the
Yeah.
US that's in this group that's bringing their perspective, bringing
Yeah.
their experience. So I would say people need to join that group because there's such amazing conversations taking place, and the people that run that group also have a website. I'll
Yeah.
post the link of the website after the call, but it's such a powerful way of creating this movement and creating, these evangelists that are sharing their experience. And then I guess the third one is to just realize that this is a business imperative.
Yeah.
Your business, like I was saying, is dependent on people. If you're
Mm.
not taking care of the people, I mean, as a CEO, what keeps me up at night, and I always talk about this, is how do we retain our people? We retain our people
Wow.
by showing them that we
Yeah.
care about them. I know people who have turned down offers because they've said, you know what,
Mhm.
Zim, what scares me is the idea of reporting to someone else. Is that person going to be as supportive? Is that person going
Mm.
to allow me to bring this version? Maybe the version is broken, but
Mm.
helping me grow,
Mm.
helping me build my career. So I think, yeah, I think it would be those three tools, leadership development courses. Please join the LinkedIn group and just support the movement because it's an imperative.
You forgot one tool.
Two, sorry, it's those two.
Forgot looking in a full color book as part of those tools.
Oh no, 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 no. Please. This book, guys, I actually bought 4 copies, and I gave one copy to my mom. My mom is retired, but she is raving about the book. And then my sister as well, she's saying it's so thrilling to actually find Black female voices that are brave enough to put this content out there. So Bongeka, yeah, congrats.
Thank you. So I think we're almost coming to the end, and I see Unos is saying we only have a few
Oh,
minutes left. I don't know if because I don't see any questions. I don't know. Oh, let's see in the private chat. Um, oh, okay, no, there is a question. Nosi just wrote here. So, what is the human face you bring into your role? That's a question to you, uh, Zim. What is the human face you bring into your role in day-to-day things, and how have your peers internally and externally reacted to this aspect of you?
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've introduced when I first arrived, I think it was in my second week,
Mm.
was a weekly newsletter to our team, our whole entire team, and I talk about the things that we've done well, but I also talk about the things that have been a struggle. Um, and and today, one of the leaders in my leadership team sent me a message, and he said, "Chief, it's an honor to work alongside you. You
Oh
don't
my
know."
God, I
You
love
don't,
that.
you don't know what that did for me, because it was like, well, I've been here for 75 days, and here's someone saying essentially, "Thank you for making it."
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
Wow.
then, I mean, so that's internally, and then, I mean, externally, the industry has been amazing in terms of
Mm,
support, um,
mm,
and just saying, we see you, we're here to support you.
yeah.
And because of that stance, if I'm looking to have a meeting with someone and I don't know that person, but I can see that they linked to someone else, people are so quick to help. They're willing to help, and they want to see you grow and thrive and succeed. So the industry has just been phenomenal. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I hope that person is answered. But I mean, you can. This conversation doesn't end here. They can follow Zim, follow me, and engage us further. And then another question, Azim,
Mhm.
as someone who isn't in leadership, can
Mhm.
I have an impact in bringing a human face into my workspace, or can I have this tough conversation with my leader? So basically they want to know, can they themselves do it, or is it something that they need to say, hey leader, there's a whole revolution happening, um step up? Yeah.
I think you can do both, but I
Mm,
also think it's the how you do it. So one is, obviously being a teammate or a team player, especially with this remote way of working, checking up on your team, organizing virtual catch-ups, how you treat your clients with a lot of empathy. So I think there is an aspect of what are you doing within the environment that you can control, and what are the actions that you're taking, day-to-day actions that you're taking to make that a reality. But I also think, we have to create conversations with our leaders. Our leaders are also
yes,
people, you know.
yes,
Um,
yes,
I
yes.
have instances where people come to me and say, Zim, have you thought about doing A, B, and C?
Mhm.
Especially if Bongeka is talking about research that's being done. If you have a team meeting or you have a team WhatsApp, you can easily share that and say,
Like
there's
that.
research being done about how businesses are growing because of bringing this human face to work.
Mhm.
And so I think we've got to find a way of having the conversation, and sometimes the conversation won't be as tough as what you think.
Mm,
We always have this preconceived idea that a conversation might be tough, but I think how you approach it can also have a big difference in terms of being tough, or in terms of being a valuable conversation that your leader might actually appreciate.
yeah, I agree with you on the how. I've seen in my role, both as an employee, as a consultant, that people
Mm.
often live up to the esteem that we hold them to,
Oh,
and sometimes when you approach somebody with respect, no, even if they are deemed a difficult leader, oh my gosh, there's a way in which they submit to you.
yeah,
But other
yeah,
people are like, how did you get that? But
yeah,
you're right, the how. We
yeah,
tend to sometimes want to come in and, but we're still human, and in many ways still
Exactly.
African. And how we have been raised to still come through. Anyway, I get carried away. There's another question here.
Mm.
Um, what are the complexities inherent in the CEO role that makes it difficult to be human and keep the human promise to our people?
I think it's the chase, the budget discussion, the forecast discussion, negotiating targets with the shareholders or with the board. Um, and then also when you don't meet those targets, and then you have to have those difficult discussions with people about how we turn things around. But again, it's the how. It's not like you get there and just say, you're an awful team and what's happening.
Yes.
Turn things around by saying, guys, we've had a speed bump, but we can do it. I know each and every single one of you can change things. You can bake and shake. Let's go get the deals. It's about also inspiring people
Yeah.
to greatness, and you don't inspire people by putting them down.
Yeah.
So it's that balance of the chase and what you need to make in terms of the numbers, and that ability to grow the business and make a success in terms of what the shareholders are expecting, versus obviously the human aspect.
Wow. Thanks. Thank you so much, Zim, for just indulging us. I see we only have a few minutes left.
We do.
No, no, see, I don't know if there is a competition winner, but what I would rather suggest, because I mean these conversations are ongoing, is if you know, so you can just post the way people can get the book on the chat to our website
Yeah.
www.pendivision.co.za. Zim has endorsed the book, and so have many other leaders. We are revolutionizing how we do work and show up. So, as we wrap up, I just firstly want to thank each and every single person who was able to dial in on this. I do not take it lightly that you chose us over anything that you could have done. Thank you to Nosi, who's part of my team. I think Nosi has a thingy. Okay, she says the winner is Uspoga's Data. Well, okay, cool. Dr. Joy already has the book, but I'm sure Dr. Joy would love to donate it to somebody which will engage with her. It's cool. Congrats, Doc, and thank you for
Thank
engaging
you.
us. So yeah, so as we conclude, Zim, wow, thank you so much. And I think for me, what makes me just so happy about just obviously this is a tiny conversation based on many other conversations we've had and many more that we are going to have even within your office environments at Quintica with your team. We are
Yes.
going to plug in there. But I think for me, I'm just so excited that you are just not just a humane leader, but you're also part of the pioneers of a technology revolution in our continent. And I think most of us can agree that the digital and the technology revolution is really what's going to set the tone for the next coming generations. And to have humane leaders in that environment, because I'm deeply passionate about and you would have seen in the book, I'm deeply passionate about technology, about digital innovation. I'm deeply passionate because I know it's transformative power in our society when used well and when used right. So I'm so happy that we are part of a generation of leaders who are making a difference in our continent. I don't know if there's any final words from your side before we wrap up our tonight's conversation.
No, but I mean, from my side, it's just an ask for everyone who's here. Let this not be the end of the conversation. Don't let it waste away by you not taking action. So wherever you are, in whatever circles you're in whatever workspaces you're in, be that change maker, you know. I know that it's not going to be easy. Sometimes it's very difficult when you are the only one, but we need to drive this movement. It's imperative, and this is the only way that we can make our workspaces conducive and so that people can grow and thrive. So please.
On that last note, thank you everyone, and remember, for those who still haven't, get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Have a blessed evening. We are signing out. Bye.
Thank you so much, Bongeka. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.